What's going on, everyone? My name is Chris Warrens, and since 2017, I've been a full-time luxury watch dealer passionate about helping you navigate the world of high-end timepieces. Alongside that, I have a few other ventures: consulting, writing, public speaking, real estate, and a nonprofit supporting veterans. But on this channel, it's all about watches, your go-to place for education, insights, and building a community of enthusiasts who share the same passion. If you find value in this content, we'd love for you to hit the like button and subscribe, especially since 98% of you watching haven't. With that said, let's dive into today's show. Hey guys, real quick, all right? I don't talk about it on this channel. I do have a mentorship. I have a small mastermind. There's only a few dozen people, and it's specifically targeted at entrepreneurs. And we're opening up enrollment for the first time in a while, and it's going to be right now. We only have openings slotted for twice next year, potentially. So we don't open it up too much. And I figured I would let you guys know, just in case maybe you were on the fence, maybe trying to learn about how to make money selling timepieces. Maybe you want to become a dealer. Maybe you already have a business and you want to learn how to grow it and be part of a really cool network. I don't flood lots of people in. There's a huge application that our team goes through and handpicks who comes in. So it's not one of those huge groups. It's very tight knit, it's very small, and it's very niche. If you're interested, the link is in the show notes below. All right, Rolex, hype models versus non-hype models. We're gonna get deep down and dirty on the topic of hype versus not hype. And I'm gonna really try to put on display why things are hype and why things are not hype. We're gonna talk about models, we're gonna discuss front runners, and the reasons why hype is so apparent with Rolex. But first, it's important to point out and state this. From a macro perspective, our industry, or industry-wide, to include Rolex, the hype era is basically over, as the industry has been correcting since back to pre-COVID prices since 2022. 2022 prices started correcting. Here we are going into 2025. We haven't completely corrected, but the hype is pretty much over with in a macro perspective. There's always going to be outliers, but in a macro perspective. So the outliers, the models that have a large amount of hype around them, that's what we're going to focus in on. Let's take a look at what makes a modern Rolex a model that's hype before we talk about the actual models. Well, number one, supply and demand. Rolex produces a limited supply. Rolex watches can be hard to find, leading to long wait lists and high resale points. Hard to find for some, but not everyone. And everyone here knows on this channel that they're not hard to find. Number two, social media. Social media really hypes up a lot of things, to include hype model Rolexes in this case, and it contributes to the price of Rolexes and other watches, especially with big influencers like models and actors and rappers pushing specific models. Number three, a cult following. Some Rolex watches have a cult following and prestige, which can lead to high premiums from collectors. Four, and arguably my favorite point of why models are hype, is iconic design. Rolex watches are known for their iconic design of over 120 years now. And what I truly love about it is they really don't change too much. I really respect that about Rolex. Number five, quality material. The watches are made with high quality material, from the diamonds to the pieces in the movement to the steel on the bracelet. Let's be honest, Rolex isn't Hublot, so Rolex has a higher standard than many other brands. Number six, in-house manufacturing. Rolex watches are manufactured in-house now. It hasn't always been the case though. For instance, i.e. Rolex outsourced some of their movements to Zenith in the 80s through the 2000s, and the Daytonas that were produced with those movements are highly coveted and sought after with huge premiums for being vintage and neo-vintage. What we're gonna go over, listen, it's not gonna be limited to what we're going over. We're just going over a few of hype versus not hype. So we're just giving you a baseline. So let's take a look to begin at some of the least hype Rolexes there are, starting with number one, the Yachtmaster II. The 116680 in steel, the 116681 in two-tone, the 116688 full gold. Widely considered the ugliest Rolex ever produced, they carry very little hype. However, when they were discontinued recently, they did see a little bump in pricing for a moment. I personally like the Yachtmaster II and have dailied all three variants. Given it's a 44mm case, it fits my 8-inch wrist pretty well. Number two, the Explorer. Not the Explorer II, the Explorer 36 and 40mm. There's so many reference numbers, we're just gonna say all of them. Small and big, two-tone or steel. Modern Explorers just are not in demand, but they are super cool starter Rolex models, and I highly recommend them to people that are trying to get into Rolex sub $10,000. Number three, much like the Explorer, the Air-King 126900. Not too hype at all, but like the Explorer, it's still a great Rolex to start sub $10,000 as it's on the lower end of the price scale. Number four, we're gonna do the Milgauss 116400 white dial specifically. Now, the blue dial Milgauss and even the black dial with green crystal have a little bit more hype, specifically the blue dial, but the white dial doesn't at all. Also widely considered one of the ugliest Rolexes. I don't know if I agree on that myself, but I can see why a lot of people do say that. Since the Milgauss has recently been discontinued, you can find a blue dial last year production 2023 in great shape if you can find it. And if you want to bet on investing in watches, which isn't widely discussed as a very good thing, toss it in the safe. Maybe one day that 2023 in good shape Milgauss will be worth some money. I would put my money on that it will be. So now we're gonna take a look at some of the most hype Rolexes there are currently. But before we talk about them, I'm asking for a little feedback. If you guys want me to review these non-hype models here on the channel, just drop a comment below with which one you want me to review, and I'm happy to do it for you. All right, number one, we're gonna say the whole line of GMTs, okay? GMTs are one of the most hyped Rolex line, and almost all of them trade over 2 times MSRP. Steel model over MSRP. So we're talking Batman, Batgirl, 116710 BLNR, 126710 BLNR, Pepsi's 116719 BLRO, 126719 BLRO. Also, the two-tone Bumblebee, 126713 GRNR, and of course, the highly in demand Bruce Wayne, 126710 GRNR. All in huge demand, and rightfully so. Everybody I know that likes Rolex pretty much likes GMTs. Okay, now, number two, we're gonna say the Submariner Hulk 116610 LV. Now, I did think about putting the Submariner in here because it is a very in-demand model. However, it doesn't trade that much over MSRP on the secondary market, but the Hulk does. It's discontinued, which really plays into the hype, and it trades 2 times over MSRP for the most. If you invest in watches or want a model to invest in, I would put my money on, if you can find a 2020 or a 2021 dated Hulk and you can find it in really good condition, maybe with stickers still on it, throw it in the safe for a couple decades. It might be worth a lot of money one day, or wear the heck out of it and it still will be worth a lot of money one day. Number three, the Sky Dweller, mint green specifically, or blue dial on Jubilee 336934. These two dial colors in particular carry the most premium and wait times at ADs normally. They trade for about 2 times, maybe 2.5 times MSRP, and they're a super cool 42 millimeter example in the Rolex lineup, and Rolex doesn't do a lot of 42 millimeter anymore. All right, last but not least, the last hype model we're gonna go over. I bet you can't guess what it's gonna be. The single most hyped Rolex ever for the most part, the Daytona Panda white dial 126500LN. It is important to say the 116500LN as well. Not to negate the black dial Daytona. However, white Panda is much more in demand and has more hype. I personally am not a huge fan of Daytonas. If you're not new to this channel, you know that. I'm not saying it's a bad watch. I'm just saying for me, having an 8-inch wrist, the Daytona is just too small for me. However, I understand why everybody likes it. It's a very handsome watch. Trading 2, 2.5, sometimes 3 times over MSRP, it's got an incredible amount of hype and is the most hyped Rolex in my humble opinion. So that's a quick breakdown of the hype versus not so hyped models. Now, it's not limited to what we went over, but this is a good start point to understand the difference of 4 models on both ends of it. And to close things out, if you're interested in picking up any of these models, we have many in stock. Or if you want to learn more about working with us to get your hands on any timepiece, check out the links in the description below. But before you go, I'd love to hear your feedback and what you think on this review. Let me know in the comments. I always enjoy hearing from you guys and respond to everyone no matter the perspective. And if you haven't already, please hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel not only grow, but really shows me what you guys like to make more content that you like so I can help you and add as much value as possible. So thanks again for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Peace.